And today I am cookieless. Yes, cookieless, which means Roxanne's going to make me some cookies later on today, I think. And then Jaylee, whenever she comes back in town, we'll see. I can pray. But I want to talk to you about identity crises. And here's what the definition is. An identity crisis is a developmental event that involves a person's questioning their sense of self or place in the universe. I have people ask me, well, I go to a Messianic congregation, so am I a Jew? Or am I Jewish? What am I? I want to start with the fundamentals, the basic down-to-earth pinpoint facto, okay? By reading John chapter 1, starting in verse 6. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. This man came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all through him might believe. He was not the light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which gives light to every man coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. If you want me to tell you who you are, let me start with the first thing first, the most important, kind of like the fundamental, the grounding, the basic. If you believe, is God your father? So we're going to start with your heritage. Is God your father? And if so, then we automatically know who you are as a child of God, maybe Jew or Gentile or whatever. You're already a child of God. So from there, we can expand out a little bit and say, okay, if God's my father and I believe in the Bible, then that part says that Abraham is the father of all those who believe. Yes, the father of all who believe. He didn't say all those who were genetically connected, not in this case, but all those who believe. So if you are a believing Jew or a Christian, he is a father to all those who believe. We're going to narrow this down. Now, the question that was asked me earlier today is, well, who's a Jew and who's Jewish and all that? Well, I think when we say who's a Jew, we have to use the most legal term we can find. And that, of course, is given by the state of Israel. Who does Israel identify as being a Jew? It identifies several groups of people. The first group happens to be those who have at least one of the four grandparents who is identifiably Jewish or identifiably a Jew. Those who were born Jews, who practice Judaism on some level. But you're only one of the four of the grandparents. That's all. And by the way, if you have one of the four grandparents who is a Jew, then you also have the right to return to Israel as a citizen, full-fledged citizen, based on one of the four grandparents. Now, the second group of people we call Jews are converts. And these converts are those who have given up their previous lives to live as Jews and to worship as Jews. So they might be Irish or Lithuanian, or they might be Episcopalian, I guess. They might have been Ethiopian. It makes no difference. If you are a convert, formally speaking, you have chosen to identify with Israel in a true and real sense, which means if you're a male, you were circumcised for this event. This is from the Orthodox perspective, you were circumcised for this event, and thus you have become a proselyte, as the Bible called them. And so these are the people who are legally, recognizably, as being Jews or Jewish. But what about the Messianic believers? What about the Gentiles that hang out at the synagogue? By the way, almost every synagogue, Orthodox, conservative, or Reform, has non-Jewish participants. So who are those people? Okay, in those cases, we would go back to the old school term of ger teshav. Ger means stranger, teshav, the good, or the good stranger. And so they are connected to Israel, but they're not converts. They belong with the house of God to those who are of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so you can be Reformed, conservatives, Orthodox, modern Orthodox, okay? But you belong, and let's see, I'm trying to remember, who was it? One of the texts I read said they were often referred to as the stranger who stands in the doorway. Just in the doorway. Hasn't entered in, just in the doorway. And so that's a ger teshav. And then there was a ger zadik, those who came all the way in. Well, we call those converts or proselytes. Hang on, I'm not done yet. So what are you if you're a Messianic and a Gentile, okay, and you join the community and you live a Jewish life and you keep the commandments and you honor the Sabbath, and all this, by the way, can be found in Isaiah chapter 56. You need to read the first 12 verses. Isaiah 56. Okay? And that is for a convert, in my opinion, whatever that's worth, okay, in the Messianic circle. So, who are the Christians? The Christians are the ger teshav, the good person who stands in the door. And if you read Ephesians chapter 2, and I'm telling you, that's your homework. Read Ephesians 2, read Isaiah 56, because I got news for you. The saved ones, I could say church, but the saved ones, those are also, I should have turned that phone down. They're also the ones who have joined the Commonwealth of Israel. So, guess what? If you believe and you do not deny Israel, okay, you're part of that Commonwealth. That's important. Now, we all have other identity issues. Let's face it, the whole world's an identity crisis. And I hear silly things. No, not some stupid, things. I identify as. Who cares what you identify as? Tell me what you are. Some guys identify as girls identify as boys, and people identify as this, identify as that. I want to identify as a rich, white, fat guy. I got 2 out of 3. So anyway, but it doesn't make me what I think I'm identifying as. We see people who have tried to sell that bill of goods. It doesn't work. Let me tell you, we have to learn to be content as God made us, because when God made you, he did not make a mistake. Okay? If he brings you to a Messianic congregation, that's not a mistake. And I don't think everybody is supposed to become Jewish. I think only those who have a sincere call from God to join that community, should do so. Everybody should come and test drive if they want to. That's fine. Be good, okay? But the reality is simple. Not everybody is prepared to keep the commandments. Read Isaiah 56 and Ephesians chapter 2. You hear me? Isaiah 56, Ephesians chapter 2. But before you do anything, would you give it all up just to be a follower of Yeshua? Would you give it all up just for the sake of heaven, just for God? Would you be willing to be a no-name individual? I am willing to be wherever God calls me to be. To the Jew, I was Jew. To the Gentile, I was a Gentile, says Paul. So don't worry about being Jewish. Follow the scripture. Stick to the book. And if you're called to be a Messianic congregation, then live that life, the life of whatever the Jewish standard is there. Some Messianic congregations are very liberal, they're very reform or conservative at best. Okay? Very few are ever truly Orthodox, okay, though they might think themselves to be. But live at the standard of the community. Don't try to live above it. Don't try to be more Jewish than the rabbi, okay? By the way, there are no Gentile rabbis, bottom line. Some things are birthrights, like being a Cohen, a priest of the highest order of Israel. That's a birthright, owned to the sons of Aaron. And then there are the Levites. That's a birthright also. You can't assume the position of a Levite. You have to be born into it. But God says of Israel, he gave us our priesthood, the Kohanim. He gave us the Levites. But he says to all of Israel, all, big word, you are a kingdom of priests unto me, my treasured nation. And then same thing is repeated in Book of Revelation, chapter 5, verse 10. Out of every nation, kindred, tribe, and tongue, he called them to be a kingdom of priests. You don't compete with the Cohens. You're not a Levite. Accept your place as a priest. When I go into a traditional synagogue, especially in Israel, they'll meet you at the door very politely and say, Kohanim, Levi, Israel. They don't know what standard of priest am I. Well, I'm not a Kohen, can't be. Not a Levite, can't be. Israel, I am. Makes no difference what you know. It's what you were born. Or you became. But don't be telling people you're a Jew if you're not a Jew. They say, okay, well, what are you? You say, I'm a proselyte if you want to. Tell me you're a proselyte. I'm one from the nations who's attached himself to Israel. In doing that, you can uphold honesty, and you'll never be embarrassed in the presence of another Jewish person. Another Jewish person. You get my drift? So, today, think about who you are. First and foremost, I am the Son of my God, and I am a follower of his Messiah. I am committed to the whole of the Bible, to the Holy Torah, and I accept my brothers and sisters in the church. It's just that, my brothers and sisters. You know, not everybody's called to walk your walk. Be content that you were set apart. So, let me conclude with this. In your church, in your synagogue, or in your parish, are you a player? Don't tell me you're Catholic and you don't go to church. Don't tell me you're a Christian and haven't been to church in years, okay? Because you're not keeping the standards of your parish or of your church or of your synagogue, okay? You might just want to say, hey, I was a Catholic and now I'm falling away. I was a Christian, I was a Jew, I'm falling away. You know what? Get in the game. Live your identity. Quit talking about it, start doing something with it. Don't forget to support the house of worship you claim to be part of. If you claim to be part of the church, support the church. Part of the parish, support the parish. Part of the synagogue, support the synagogue. Be a player. Live up to your identity, and may God bless you in the process. Now, do something nice for me. Well, not for me. Actually, for the kingdom of God. Would you hit that like button? Would you hit the like button? And would you hit that share button? But before you do that, put in that sidebar, the comment bar, I am a child of God. Make the statement. Stand with me. I am a child of God. I don't care if you look at this 3 days from now. Put in there, I am a child of God. That's the source of your identity. So may God bless you and keep you.